I'm amazed all these tires held air. It's a miracle, really. And you can see how deep they were. I mean, it was just deep, deep, deep. And the rockers were almost touching the ground. This one was the deepest, and it decided it didn't want to live anymore. So, I'm not surprised. Alright, let's open the trunk. So, well, here's a better view of the inside. Well, I think the floors are shot, which is expected. These seats are probably garbage. It's got decent interior panels, not too bad. Let's see what's in the trunk. Oh, all this stuff. We got a spare tire, we got a jack, all kinds of oil. There's a snake skin, that's cool, but I'm not seeing much rust. At least, well, there's all this garbage. Who knows what's really in there. Now, before you guys say, hey, you need a power washer, my dad has my power washer and he hasn't brought it back yet. So we're gonna hand wash the Camaro and just see if it looks a little bit better. So since the last time you saw it, I did clean some of the windows. And even just with clean windows, it looks pretty good. Of course, I did half, right? So that's probably what I'll do in this one. Clean half, just see what it can look like. Check this out, found the spare in the trunk, and it is full of air. And it will work right in here when I get to it. So we'll clean it up. I needed a break from working on this turd to working on this. So we'll wash it, see what it looks like when we're done. I know soap and water will clean this vinyl top awesome. Not really worried about that because it was the cleanest part of the car. It's mostly this paint. Curious to see. Oh yeah, that'll come right off. When it still needs a buff really badly, but I think that'll do. Alright guys, you know I had to do it. Just wash half the car. I think it's hilarious looking. It actually was in a rainstorm between when I pulled it out and when I got time today to do this. But you can still kind of see, even just a wash makes it look 1,000 times better. I'll get the rest of it washed. We'll take a video then. And then I need to decide where to put it. It's looking a heck of a lot better. The paint really isn't as nice as I thought it was, but hey, you know, you can't really tell much in a barn covered in 20 years of mold and dirt. But, you know, like for example, the corner of this hood, really nice, and then this one's got all these scratches. I don't know if it's from an animal climbing up on it over the years, I don't know. Same with the bottom of this fender. I just don't know. But you know, I can't complain. It was in the barn next door to me, so this is about all I'm going to do with the paint at this point. I need to get it running, driving, and stopping reliably before I even, you know, bother buffing it. But I figured it just being cleaner would definitely be a plus. But you know, not too bad. I guarantee you, with a wool pad, some compound, and a buffing wheel, I can get the paint to shine even more than it is already. I mean, right now it's kind of dull. It's kind of chalky, but you know, that's to be expected for sitting for so long. yellow Submarine is on the jack stand, so now, or it's on my lift. So now we can go underneath the car, kind of have a poke around and see what we can find. Remember, it was sitting on dirt for 20 years, so I'm not very optimistic, but we'll just see what happens. Alright, looking underneath. I mean, it looks okay. There's a little rust in the front radiator support, but nothing too bad. I'm not as versed in these Camaros as I am in other stuff, so I'm not really sure what to look for. Let's see. Going a little farther underneath. And the floors look decent, all things considered. There's a little bit of rust in the very front of this rocker. The transmission has dirt on it. Look at that. It's pancaked on there because the car was sitting on flats in mud and sunk all the way to the dirt. There's that. That's good. Let's see. Missing the flywheel cover. Oh. That's an interesting shifter rod compared to what's on a Corvette. Looks like we have a 350 turbo based on the oil pan. Single exhaust, which is not rusted out, which is actually quite amazing, all things considered. Alright, rear floors look pretty decent, all things considered. I'll tell you what, living in that barn did not help this car at all. 0%. Not too bad. Drums on the rear. Discs on the front. Let's see. The exhaust is all there. The only hole I see is this tiny little pinhole. That's amazing. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bolt. Nothing special, but it's okay. I doubt it's a posi, because it could be. Nope, it's not. Only one tire moves. That's okay. Let's see. I'm really looking for a lot of big structural nasty rust. I don't see any. I think this car's had quarters in the past, but I'm not sure. Let's see. This is from dragging it. We'll take that out. This driver's floor I know has holes. There it is right there. I've seen worse. Let's see. Right there's some. Oh, there's a bunch of rust on this fender, but might be why this. Ooh, there we go. Alright, that's probably the worst of the rust. Not too bad. It's just the fender though. It's not in the rocker at all. So that will have to be taken care of. This is my favorite. That's my favorite. Well, we're going to focus on the engine today. I know it spins. I spun it by hand using the fan belt, but other than that, that's about all I know about it. It has come time to see a little bit more under this hood. So I haven't touched anything. I mean, there's still all the dirt along the air cleaner lid, all the dirt along the fenders and the cowl and all that kind of stuff. But I want to show you guys one of the most important. That bottom pulley. I can pull on this one. You see the engine, it does move. So because it moves, we can then move on to other things. So pull the spark plugs, check them, make sure they're okay, or at least pull the spark plugs and look at them. That can tell us a lot about the inside of the motor. And then also we're going to change the oil and see what that looks like inside, because it might be full of water, it might be full of metal, who knows. But supposedly this car just, you got a new one and you parked this one, so we'll just have to see. Who wants to bet me $10 there's a mouse nest in here? Alright, so the wing nut's frozen, so all we got was a little stud. And not bad. Let's see what we got. Alright, so it doesn't look like any mice have been peeing down my carburetor. That looks gross. I've seen worse. I've seen way worse. We got a vacuum line that was plugged into something. Looks like it just broke apart. I have a feeling all the vacuum lines in this car are just going to be stupid brittle. And there she is. Not too bad. See if she's frozen. No, she still moves. Looks like all these spark plug wires have been eaten. Look at that. That's interesting. So is the HI distributor power wire. We'll have to figure that out. Ooh, lots of work. Everybody says they love barn finds. I don't know why. I keep buying them though. Let's see what else we have. Water. Let's check the water. See what the water looks like. If there's any water in it. I bet over 20 years there's not. Oh wow. There's actually coolant in there. It looks green. But look at all the stalactites in the passageways. We'll see if those clean up. I don't think they're going to. Yeah, look like they move pretty good. Check this out. A Delco Freedom battery. When's the last time you saw one of those? A long time ago. So I'll work on pulling these plugs. It's going to be kind of a pain with this AC pump, but looks like I can get to 2 of them pretty easy and 2 of them not so much. I'm not used to working on a hood like this, pointed the wrong direction. If it was a Corvette, it'd be a little bit easier. And that's as high as it goes. Check this out. I only had 2 spark plug wires that survived the rats. And most of them, this is all I got. Just the little nubs. And then we have 2 in the engine bay that are actually still complete. Now you notice, so I think somebody's replaced these valve covers with some cheapy ones. But they kept all the routing parts for the spark plug wires. Interesting. They're not going to get replaced with any kind of factory correct ones, but they will be good enough for what it is. But looking at the plugs, they are AC Delco plugs, so that's a good sign. I also found this laying next to the carburetor. This is what's supposed to go on the air cleaner. Keep your Jim Carl GM. So that's always good. We will keep going. We'll pull some plugs, see what they look like. With all the plugs out, we can kind of gauge the health of the engine. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8 right here. They all look fairly good. I mean, they're obviously old and nasty. Might have been burning a little bit rich. This one has some deposits on it. Here on the other side, we have 1, 3, 5, and 7. They're all about the same, with the exception of this one. This is the number 1 plug. You can see it's got some buildup on it. It's kind of weird, so who knows if that one was even firing. I actually broke off a piece of the buildup with my finger, as you can see right there. But yep, that one's the only one I'm really worried about, but at this point it doesn't matter. We're still pretty far from firing her up. Next is going to be checking fluids, which I've already done, but I didn't film. I did it when I got the car out of the barn. But we checked the water already, so now we can look at power steering. It actually looks like there's something in there. Just a little bit, but there is. Maybe not. I can't tell. Alright, we're not going to worry about that anyway, because we're not going to worry about power steering or anything like that yet. Actually, we'll probably end up cutting the belts for that stuff. Just because when I fire it up, I don't want all this power steering fluid, gushing out and or leaking everywhere. Next is going to be oil. We'll see a little bit of this in a second, but yeah, it's pretty black and old. We'll be changing that. And then last but not least, the transmission. Way back in the back. It looks kind of burnt. It smells like just old ATF. But hopefully that will be enough. I also noticed that one of the electrodes on this cap is totally bent backwards. Not surprising at all. For this next part, we'll fill the cylinders full of Marble Mystery, let them soak. We'll also drain all the oil and get as much of that out of this motor as we can. And then I will go buy some more oil and more Marble Mystery and just let everything soak. I have yet to buy a oil catch stand. So that's what I'm using for now. But don't worry, eventually I will buy one. So I have the oil drain plug loose. You guys will get to see firsthand what this junk looks like when it comes out. So hopefully it's not too bad. Alright, there's oil in there, I know. Let's see. Well, that's not bad. Water would have been on the bottom, so no water is always a good thing. It's just nasty, old, and black. Here's the oil filter. It's an old Fram PH30. It's a little better light. See if we can get that off by hand. $10 says I can't. Oh, that's the... Oh, we're leaking already. I must have poked a hole in it. Whoops. Yeah, I poked a hole in it. That's okay though. I guess it's all gonna leak out the hole. Nothing wrong with that. So the plan is gonna be let this leak out for a day, 2 days, just get as much oil out of the car as possible. And then we'll put new stuff in. It's weird to walk in and have this car at face level, just grinning at you. Well, we're ready to take the next step. We have a battery on the charger. We have brand new oil, Marble Mystery, and we have a new filter. And here are all my brand new spark plugs. So something interesting is here's a plug out of the car. Here is one old style R45TS, which matches identically. But here's all the new stuff that I got, and they're just a little bit different. I mean, the only real difference is they'll just stick out that much more. Other than that, they're the same. But I just thought it was interesting that AC Deco changed the design a little bit. I wonder if there's any difference in it. So we'll put oil in the car, we'll put Marble Mystery in the cylinders, then we'll start turning it over by hand. I'll probably pull the valve covers at the same time. So we've added about 4 quarts of new motor oil in, and now we're going to add probably about a half quart of this. I need to save some for the cylinders. I had a brain fart, so I started putting oil in through the valve covers. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm just going to take these valve covers off anyway. So, yeah, one thing at a time, I guess. But these valve covers don't have an oil fill hole, so you have to put it through where the PCV valve goes, which is kind of annoying, but I guess it's just how it is. So we will remove it. We'll put this Marble Mystery in, and then from there, the oil change should be done, and then we'll fill the cylinders full of more Marble Mystery, and then start turning it over by hand. Here's my Marble Mystery oil delivery service. So it's a big tube with a little funnel on the end. It actually fits through spark plug holes, so that's good. So I'm going to put just a small amount of Marble down each cylinder. The engine's free, it moves, so basically it's just to help lubricate all the stuff that hasn't moved in 20 years. It's going to smoke a lot more because of this when it starts up, but you know, it's one thing that will help everything just go a little bit smoother. Got this valve cover off, and I tell you what, it's a bear with this AC part right here. I mean, it's possible, right? But it's just so far so good. I mean, we have a little bit of sludge. The oil returns right there. That can be cleaned out. Probably missed a few oil changes, but not too bad. You can see where some silicone got on the rocker arm when they replaced the stock valve covers with those stupid chrome ones. Other than that, it looks pretty good. A little bit of sludge. Could be worse. I've seen worse. But we'll move on to the other side, which I think is a little bit harder. We can also look at how deep the rocker arms are, or how deep these nuts are that hold the rocker arms, see if there's any significant issues. They look all about the same, which is good. Check this rear hole in the back, make sure it's clear. Got some sludge, but nothing a little marble mystery won't help clear up. Time to go to the other side, which, whew, I'm gonna have to remove the AC pump, we'll see. In order to get this driver's side cover off, you have to move the AC pump back, and then you have to remove this bracket that went over the top. So there's going to be oil in here just because that's where I poured all the oil to fill in the engine, but there you go. That's why we do this. You see this? We have a rocker arm that's been replaced. It's newer than the rest of it. So I have a feeling in the future that will be a problem. Something on this valve train on the top end is going to be a problem, but maybe, maybe not. So what we can do now is we can pour just a little bit of oil on each one of these rocker arms so that they're lubed up when the engine gets turned over, and then we can start turning it over by hand and watching all of the rocker arms, make sure they move okay. That will force all the marble mystery to be spread out in the cylinders, and from there we can put a battery in it and see what lights up and what doesn't. One of the most fun things you can do with an old car that you hasn't run in a long time is put a hot, fresh battery in it and see what works and what doesn't. Obviously this battery has seen much better days. It's held in by pieces of wire, and there's a piece of wood holding everything else up because the tray under it is rusty. But that's okay. We will get a new battery in and see what works. I don't like the Camaros that you have to remove this rod to get anything in and out, but it is what it is. I have a battery with side posts, and we'll put it in. Alright, we have a battery in. Let's see if we get headlights. We're not getting anything at all. Oh. We have one marker light. Woo! The tail light. Another tail light. And there's a marker light. We have one headlight. Oh, that one decided. Oh, watch this. It's dying. Watch this sucker die. It's on fire. Can you see the fire in there? And there it goes. That's the second time I've seen headlights like that die. That's hilarious. Alright, we have marker lights. That's good. Alright. We're getting there. You know what's funny? I don't have headlight bulbs for this car because all I have are the Corvettes. So that's about all we're going to get with on the outside of the car without turning the ignition on. The ignition is unplugged from the engine, so if there's any issues with it, we shouldn't have anything that big of a problem. Let's see. It's still so stinky in here. Ugh. We got a horn relay working. That's good. Turn the ignition on. I hear a blower motor going. Alright, the radio. Look at the digital display. That's so funny. That's not working. Not really surprised, actually. Let's see. What can we can do turn signals. Gas gauge is working, or it moved. I'm not getting any kind of turn signals. The interior lights are out. That's really about all we can fix at this point. I bet that's just a flasher. This doesn't really have any other gauges. It's got pretty much dummy lights, which you'd think those would be on at this point. I don't want to try the wipers because they're just trash. But what we can do is see if the motor will turn over with the key. And there it goes. Cool.